I think I think I think being a virtuous person is the greatest goal that you can strive for, and that keeping the idea of love for both, not just those in your that you like, but those that you don't like. So loving your enemies is a very important concept, and if you're striving towards that, it's just better for everybody than being selfish.
Everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter, author podcast. Get to meet amazing authors from around the world. And if you love storytelling and you love adventure and things that are going to draw you in as a reader, then you're definitely going to love James here on the podcast today. We're going to talk about his journey as an author and all the things that he's been up to as well. Excited to have him on the show. James, welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Excellent. Tell everybody, where are you in this great big world of ours?
I am in Spanaway, Washington, which is in Pierce County. I'm south of the city of Tacoma. Mount Rainier is right outside my window.
Okay. Is that where you were born and raised?
I grew up here. I was born in Okinawa.
Excellent. Okay, let's talk author journey. Let's get started on this, because I think we have some authors here today that could really benefit from all of the years of you writing and all of the things you've been up to. We've got authors listening to the show. They're at the beginning of the stage of learning how to write and get out there and do what you do.
Yeah.
What is there anything you could give as advice, tips, support, encouragement for somebody new who would love to be where you are right now?
So you gotta persevere. It can take a long time. Some people get lucky, but that's the rarity, right? So you just first you gotta write your book. So you gotta make it, if you want to be a writer, you gotta make it a commitment to yourself. You're gonna say, like, I'm gonna write an hour a day, maybe. And just like, that's my writing time, and make it a priority. If that's what you want to do, just like your job is a priority or your family is a priority, but you have to, don't just think you can write here or there, if you want to do that. As you got to write a lot. You need to write to find your voice. So you need to write a lot of different stuff. Don't be afraid of writing something that's terrible, because it's generally not good on the first draft. And that's what rewrites are for, but you can't fix a blank page, someone once said. But some other guy who wrote a long time ago, I think he said that. And so it's true though. If you write something, you can fix it later if it's terrible. But if you don't actually write anything, it'll never get fixed. So just finish your book and then worry about rewriting it. Don't rewrite as you write your book. You'll never get it done. And lastly, perfection is the enemy of good. It'll never be perfect.
Yeah, so work through that. How long did it take for you to find your voice as an author?
I've been writing since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it's not like you go like one day like, aha, I have a voice. You just sort of develop a way that you write, and it just takes writing stuff. So there's a lot of stuff I've written that'll never see the light of day. I mean, stuff I wrote on paper that I don't own anymore because it was terrible and I didn't care to keep it. Stuff I wrote on the computer back in the 90s that I may or may not have in a hidden corner of my hard drive somewhere. But it's just, it's a lot of dumb stuff I wrote. And then when I started writing and getting where I felt like I could write something worth sharing, that's when I started doing that.
What's your writing schedule like now that you've been doing this for so long? Where do you find your happy place as a writer now?
I do about 4 hours of the ghostwriting a day, and I do 2 hours on my fantasy novel. Yeah. And then so it's about, and then there's some like rewriting or editing time on the ghostwriting stuff where I go over what I wrote for the day and just correct any like dumb little grammar mistakes. This is a little different ghostwriting from that. I just like to keep up with trying to give a cleaner manuscript over to my client. So I do go over that stuff, but I don't do that with my my novels. I'll write the entire novel first before I'll do that stuff. But I don't know. Just it's easier to do. Like I wrote 4 hours a day, and then and it's like an hour to go over it again. You know, and instead of having to do it all at once at the end, I don't know.
How did you get into ghostwriting?
I published. I first started sharing stuff on free story sites, and then people were like, "Hey, you're a really good author. I want to write this story, but I can't write." And then like, I'll pay you money to write my story for me.
Hmm.
And then you just, sort of, then you just get other people want that, and then you just, you get some people who are clients, and they make money somehow off of me writing stuff for them because they're, I don't know, they're better marketers than I am, or or
Yeah.
they're publishing in a genre that I don't really like, want to write it myself, so there's just more ravenous fan base.
It's kind of be interesting to get into the mind of someone else and write a story for them, because you know where you would go in a story and you know what you would write, but now you have to kind of get, like we talk about, finding your voice as a writer. You gotta write in their voice. That's
No,
a totally different
still
exercise,
writing in my
right?
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to write in a different genre though. So it's different genre
Okay.
conventions, and trying to get their outline to make sense
Yeah.
and get them something that they like, hopefully.
Do you
That's the
spend
goal.
time with the person you're writing for?
Yeah, they tell me what they want, and
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. And then they give me the details, and I some clients will give you more freedom to flesh it out, and some clients won't. You know, but that's the client's decision. Some are like, "Hey, here's
Yeah.
the basic plot. You do stuff." And other clients like, "Here's every little detail."
Yeah. Do you find it satisfying to write for someone else and not get the credit,
I
per
find it
se, that you would get if you wrote your own book?
I find it better than working a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I like
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not. Sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a chore. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I like it more than I do. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it's just a way to pay my bills.
So people are finding you, or are you going out telling people you do this for people?
I have a client base now. I've been doing this since 2013.
Well, and you just build that up over time. That's good. Yeah. Anything different for a ghostwriter listening? Suggestions for somebody who wants to get into ghostwriting
I
that maybe
mean,
we haven't talked about already?
it's like I don't know. Some people, it's like you kind of you have to get lucky and meet people that want you to write for them, and then they recommend you to other people, and then it's it's not like there's a, at least that's how I did it. I don't know if there's other ways you get into ghostwriting. That's how I got into it. I don't know how like professional ghostwriters who do it for like, politicians or whatever get into it,
Yeah.
or or how like you get those like Stephen Patterson books, and they always have like that other name on there, and that's really the guy that wrote it, and he's just putting his name on. I don't know how you get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I never got into trad publishing book.
When you're doing ghostwriting, are you doing mostly fiction or are you doing nonfiction or what are you writing?
It's mostly romance, or I should say
Romance? Oh,
it's
romance.
romance. It's romance.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Well, there you go. So do you find that writing for other people helps you to be a better author for your own books?
I mean, it certainly gives you more hours writing. So I think that
Yeah.
makes, I mean, just the more, like, I know, like, the books I write today are, I think, tighter than the books I wrote in 2013, right? Or especially my own personal books. Like, some of my first books, I had to do massive, massive rewrites to them because there were parts that I broke, or I wasn't giving good character agency and stuff like that. So it was like plot stuff that I still needed to get better at. But I don't
Yeah.
tend to run into those problems. I don't have someone read one of my new books and go like, "Wait a sec, this part really is terrible because like your character is not doing anything." Or I had that with my third book. Like my editor's like, your character is not in this storyline, isn't doing anything. They're just like witnessing things.
Mm.
They're not an active agent in their story. They're a passive agent.
Mm.
As it's not good to have your lead be a passive agent in the story.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So I had to
Yeah,
gut,
I think.
yeah, so I had to gut that book, and I had to rewrite whole parts of it. I flipped, I had like flipped who was the villain in it. So like I had two characters, and I flipped which one was turned out to be the bad person in the villain in the situation, because by flipping it, it allowed my character to be more active,
Hmm,
right? So
okay.
like the
Yeah.
original character was there were supposed to be clues that pointed to the original character, and then I rewrote that to those were false herring clues pointing to the original character. And so by her being active, she uncovered it was a false clue, and that led to the real person. So I had to, yeah, so I had to flip two different characters endings, and then yeah, and I felt it was like, I don't know, like I gave the character was doing things. She was active, the character, not
Yeah.
the plot just happening around her, and she was just observing it.
Okay. Let's talk about your writing. Who would you say that you're writing for? If you could kind of help me pinpoint your audience, because people listening are trying to figure out if this is your books are for them. Who would you describe? Would you have an ideal reader for your stuff?
My ideal reader is myself. I write when I want to read,
Yeah.
but so that's just adults who like epic fantasy, adults who
Yeah.
like The Wheel of Time, adults who like Song of Ice and Fire, adults who like Malazan Book of the Fallen or the Belgariad or the Shannara books or that stuff. If you like epic fantasy, if you like you like Brandon Sanderson, um I'm a little more edgy than Brandon Sanderson. I would say not edgy, but more grim than a Brandon Sanderson book,
Hmm.
um but that same sort of like plot energy that he has. I don't know. Brandon Sanderson's very has a way of weaving his plots together that and all crescendoing in this climax that I really like to pull off better myself. And yeah, so you like things in the epic fantasy section or the fantasy section of the bookstore that isn't like romantasy, or
Hmm.
then yeah, you'll like my stuff.
Okay. All right. Um, what about some of the social ideas behind what you write? Like, what what kind of motivates you to write about topics that have impact in our world? Where does that come from?
I just wanted to have realistic characters, and realistic characters deal with a myriad of problems, both
Yeah.
self-inflicted and not self-inflicted. And so I don't know, I feel like I just build a character. I give a character flaws and then I don't I don't put themes. I don't intend for themes in my work. I let the themes be discovered by how the characters interact with each other and how the plot develops. And then I sort of like, okay, these characters' themes seem to be focused around maybe their parents and how they were raised, or substance abuse issues, or stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily thinking about I want to tell a story about this social ill. It's just I
Yeah.
want to tell a story with real characters and things that can happen and things that we all go through and and just with a veneer of fantasy over them.
Okay. Do you have a common thread across what you tend to write, or do
Well,
you
yeah,
kind of approach them as
the,
separate projects?
the common thread would be like because I think epic fantasy is more than any other genre is a heroic genre in that it's fundamentally about good and evil and about overcoming evil and that evil can come in so many different forms. But for the character who's no matter how like flawed or broken they are, that they are striving to be like a better person. They're striving to oppose the evil, and sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes they fail and break, and sometimes they come out stronger through the process. It's like a crucible, and they're being and hammered into something better by the process. And so while my stories can be dark, they're not without hope. And so I think ultimately hope is something that's very important in my stories. there's always like this glimmer of hope. In fact, my series What Darkness Hides kind of really is all about that, um, where it's where the people are in the worst possible situation imaginable, and there's still that tiny glimmer of hope that they cling to that keeps them striving against the darkness.
And is that part of your own personal story that this is so important for you as a writer to be going down this path? You could write about anything, but
I
this seems
think,
really important to you.
I think, I think being a virtuous person is the greatest goal that you can strive for, and that keeping the idea of love for both not just those in your that you like, but those that you don't like. So loving your enemies is a very important concept, and if you're striving towards that, it's just better for everybody than being selfish.
Yeah.
And
In our world today, I think we need more of that.
yeah, and so of course I fail at it a lot, but that's like my aspiration, you know. So that's probably why I write
Yeah.
characters. I write the characters who kind of can be who sometimes I fail to be, I guess.
So, like a better version or a future version of yourself or elements of your story, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. What kind of feedback are you getting from readers when you hear back from them? Anything kind of stand out for you as an author? You're like, oh, that's interesting that you took that from my book and I didn't really intend that maybe as a writer.
I get the feedback I get most is my characters. Like people really
Okay.
love my characters, and they love to follow their journeys, and they hate me when I kill their favorite character, and and they're just, and it's because of the characters. It's why they keep reading the stories, because they fall in love with the characters and they want to know what happens to them. And I think that's true for any good story, that the characters are the most important thing to a story, and that plot and themes and setting and message are all secondary to good characters. You can have like an amazing plot and your characters are flat and no one will care. You
Right.
could be trying to teach like an important lesson, but your characters are two-dimensional, and no
Yeah.
one will care. Or or something that, like the difference between something that's like that can educate people or make them think about things versus feeling like they're being preached to, I think really comes down to
Yeah.
characters. Like, yeah, because like when your theme is more important, when your message is more important, when your plot is more important, your characters, and then people don't care because people care about people, not events.
Beyond character flaws and kind of the humanity side of your characters, what else for you makes a good character development as you write?
Um, well, what I just feel is best for the character. I don't necessarily plot character arcs out. I write
Okay.
characters and I go, how did these events affect them, and think about how it affected them, either good or negative, and then bring them to the next point and try to, if I do have a character arc in mind, I'm trying to think of how can I build them to that point? What situations can they be in that can get them to see that they've gone too far, maybe, or to shake down their delusion, or maybe they're ultimately going to have the no character arc. They're going to be a flat arc where they don't improve and it ends badly for them. That can happen too, or they have like a nadir arc where they start out great, but then they just keep plummeting and they don't stop, and because that happens too. Some people don't learn these lessons, and then so
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I just think of like how to build the characters to kind of achieve what I think I want them to achieve, and how to get them there, and what obstacles and struggles and trials they have to overcome, and also how other characters' arcs affect them too.
I've had authors on the show that do things totally different than other authors on the show. I've had authors on who start at the finish line and reverse the story, reverse engineer the story back to the beginning. I have people who come on the show, they start with an idea and they have no idea where they're going to end up. And I don't know, where do you kind of sit on that? Do you have different approaches or do you kind of stick to one over the other?
Generally, I write a story because there is one thing in the story that really caught my attention that I really wanted to write. And I'm kind of creating a story around that can get to that singular moment. And that
Okay.
singular moment might be in the first book, might be in the third book. Um, Actually, yeah, and then sometimes I don't really know what the ending is going to be. I know, like, I'll set up the initial situation, and go like, I want this to be like, say, 5 or 6 books, and we'll just see
Hmm.
where we are. And once I get
Yeah.
deeper into the series, so I don't know, set up initial conditions, have an idea for the beginning, and then just see what those initial conditions lead to as far as storytelling potential and how the characters are reacting and how the characters are interacting with each other. Because you create the characters, and sometimes until I start writing how this character interacts with this character, I really don't know how they're going to mesh necessarily until I start kind of brainstorming it.
Yeah.
Because and then the story can go places I didn't think it will go, or it'll go where I generally thought it would go.
Do you find yourself being led by your characters at times where they're kind of directing the story and where we're going to go next?
It's only happened to me twice.
Really?
Yeah, generally because I don't know. I have a general outline of a book that'll be like, so I'll have like a series outline that will be like maybe 4 or 5 sentences. Like this
Okay.
book, this book, this book is this, and then like I'll break down the book to write it, and then it'll be like 20 or 30 sentences, just like this happens, this happens. These are like the things I want to happen, or happen to the characters, and sort of where I want them to end up. And then I do very detailed outlines for a couple chapters at a time, where it's like bare bones draft. So it'll be like this person sees this, and they react like this way. And then I'll usually write that important dialogue during this time between characters, especially as I'm trying to figure them out. And then I'll come back through and make the prose out of the outline. And once I write that and I get to the end of where it is, because usually I'll outline to like a big moment, and then I'll be like, okay, here's where I want to be. Let's evaluate how the characters were going and seeing if we have to adjust things. If maybe my outline was dumb. Sometimes, you think like you can make something work. And then when you write 80,000 words and you get up to the ending, you're like, well, this ending
Hmm.
doesn't work. I've had that happen once where I just couldn't get the logistics. I couldn't get not the I mean, I guess I could have just cheated and just had it magically happen, like the characters be where they were, but I
Yeah.
didn't like that. It's like
No.
I couldn't explain to myself in a satisfying way like how they would get caught by the villain I wanted them to get caught by. And I was like, I'm at the end of this book going, I don't have an ending. And then one of my characters stepped up and said, I have an ending for you. And I was like, oh, I have misjudged you, character. And then I'm thinking about everything this character's done over the course of 4 books. And I'm like, yeah, no, this all checks out. You actually were a scumbag. Okay, let's go. And then another time was in my fifth book where I had this whole drawn out stuff, and it was all this like character drama, and it was and I think this is just me not being happy with it because I think it was the third time we've had character drama between in this relationship, and this minor character just sort of like jumped up and said, "This is really dumb, and I'm just gonna go and solve the problem myself." By like just yelling at them both and going like, "You guys are being really stupid here," and just like, "What are you doing?" And it threw off my entire outline for at least that stuff because like I was supposed to have this character, this sort of reconciliation supposed to happen at the end of the novel, and here it is in the middle of the novel, and I have a character going like, "This is super dumb, and we're not doing this," and just make up now. Yeah, so that's the only 2 times where I've not like I felt like I'm really honestly I just feel like one was my subconscious going like, "Here's a solution to your problem," and my
Yeah.
subconscious another time going like, "This is not working. Let's just clean this up now and just not waste time on the story." So that's the only
Hmm.
2 times. So
Interesting.
it's not like my characters took control. I just feel it's just my subconscious going like, "This is dumb. Here's a better solution.
Yeah.
Go with that."
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, because I guess when you do get stuck as you're writing, then you're like, I hear people talk on this show too that they don't know what to do, right? And they just stop. and they're like, I don't know where to go in this story. I don't know what the next thing is, and I don't know. Like, I just feel like I'm just staring at this blinking cursor on my screen, going, "What's the next thing?" You know, I don't know. I just feel totally lost in the moment. So when your characters do arrive in the nick of time like that and go, "Wait, let's go this way," you're like, "Oh, well,
Yeah,
okay,
like I
I'll
just like
follow that."
so I just wrote it up, and I'm here at the end going like, this is like an ending, but there wasn't like something. There wasn't just like this final like gut punch or whatever. And I'm just sitting there going like, well, what do I do now? My entire ending is fallen apart.
Yeah.
Like, it's not working. And then this character was like, and so I was like, okay, I just need to resolve this love triangle, right? Because I was when I created this character, so it was like my first time doing uh, like a female only POV. So just like one, not only one character, but a female character to tell you to challenge myself. And so I created two male characters to be potential love interests. And I had the idea that I don't know which one I want her to end up with. I was going to let their chemistry sort of develop and see like which one I felt as I'm writing was the better fit. And one of them like was going to be a potential villain if I chose not to have them be the love interest. Like I had written in of like some stuff that I could pull the trigger and make them into a villain by revealing like some stuff. And the other one, and then when I got to the point in the fourth book, I'm like, no, I don't want to pull the trigger on this one. So I actually like these two together, and so
Mm.
I don't like the other guy. And so I was like, basically, he's like, she needs to like, kind of like, hey, I'm like with this other guy now, and need to let him down. But he's been
Mm.
helping her out all this time, kind of at his own personal risk. And I was looking back at all this stuff and like, why is he helping her out? And I was looking at his background, where he came from, and I was like, there's a lot of stuff that clicked here. And I just like, okay, well, no, I can have him be a different sort of villain, not one who is active against her, but the moment she has denied him what he wants, he reacted
Mm.
badly to it because he comes from a very broken and unhealthy place, and he's like basically like an assassin, or he works for like the secret police, and he came up like he grew up in like this like in the ghetto, so he's like he didn't have a very good moral framework. And so when I was like, oh, suddenly he's like, hey, I'm being denied what I want, and I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna take over. I was like, oh, okay. And so then we had a finale where things got
Okay.
real dicey, and I wasn't expecting it, and it gave my lead character a whole story arc for the final book I didn't expect her to have to deal with, and
Mm.
but I think ultimately it made the series better.
So a little bit of romance there in that story. Is that
Well,
kind of come from your
yeah,
ghostwriting
there's
little
always
side?
there's always like, listen,
Yeah.
when I say romantasy, I mean it's like they're they're like they're romance novels with a fantasy skin over them. They're just
Okay.
all
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the romance is the heart of it. Where in this, they're stories about people. So of course there's romances. Of
Yeah.
course there's
Right.
people having relations and stuff. That's just normal. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, and I like it. I like having like characters like get together, fall in love, and like maybe both of them will survive the end of the series and they could like be happy at the end of it, or
Yeah.
maybe not. But I do like that dynamic. I like exploring that dynamic.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
a big part of.
it's not the romance isn't the central thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's just a part. It's just another part of like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've done like someone you call like mysteries, but the mystery isn't really the core of everything going on. It's just a part of the story that there's a crime mystery going on in this book.
Yeah.
I had a novel where it was like kind of was a heist novel. I did a heist novel, like the first part, the first book in the series, and then
Hmm.
the second book is like the fallout from the heist, and
Hmm.
yeah.
When you sit down to write a new series, do you have any idea of how many books you're looking at writing? How does that kind of develop for you?
I so like I feel like I sit down, I have an idea of like this is the book and this is the story and this is kind of where I want the story to be, and I just go like I feel like this is a 3 book series. Or I go like
Okay.
this is like 5 books. 5 books I feel like I could tell this story. And sometimes I'm wrong, and sometimes I'm right. The series I'm publishing right now, Rise of the Dragon Knights, I thought it was going to be five, and it turned out to be seven. Um,
Oh,
Another book series, Shadow of the Dragons, I didn't know how long it would be, because I just wanted to be this sort of like long quest across the world, and I wasn't sure how many books it would take to do that. And I mean, that one ended up being 12 books. And
12. There's an arc. Oh my gosh.
yeah, oh, I had a big world. I purposely created a big world with a lot of different things in it. So they're going to do places with new threats they have to kind of, deal with. So it's not like same old, and sort of increasing the villains and sort of introducing like a new sub villain to come in for a while and be but all sort of still building towards this ultimate goal. But yeah, it was, it's I created a big world just for that purpose, so I could have my characters go all over it and have like interesting, cool things happening.
What's the time span to write 12 books in a series? Like, how long does that take?
Well, I wrote most of that during the pandemic, so I wrote
Okay.
in like a year. I generally I
Wow.
write a book in 1 to 2 months. Well, I was
Okay.
also writing 3 hours a day. I think
Yeah.
that's too shot on. I don't do that anymore. I mean, I can't quite do like 4 hours of ghostwriting and 3 hours of fantasy writing any longer. But,
No.
because I just there's just things to do. I'm not like locked in the house all the day, so
Yeah.
I don't have quite the time. But yeah, yeah, I wrote that series like during like the height of COVID lockdowns. So I think I just
Yeah.
started it when the pandemic hit, or I was conceiving it or whatever. I can't remember. I have to go look at my notes and see when I started writing things.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay, so how many books do you have currently for a reader to go get right at this point?
let's see, uh, 35, 35 books and I don't know, like 12 box sets. If I'm doing my math correctly.
That just seems. That just seems. I don't know. Like for me, I look at that and go, "That's incredible!" Like
I type fast.
that. Yeah, you, you must type fast.
I
Yeah.
can write about 2,200 words an hour. So,
Wow.
so if a book's like 100,000 words, that's what? That's like 50 hours. And if I'm doing 2 hours a day, that's 25 days.
So you're pouring out. It's pouring out of you these stories. But is there a way for you to refill your own cup so you still have inspiration and you still have
I have more
motivation and
stories.
ideas?
I have more stories in my head than I'm probably going to be able to write in my lifetime.
Really?
Uh-huh.
And what
I
is the source of that? Where does that come
I
from?
don't know. I don't understand
It's
where.
incredible,
And how do you explain where inspiration comes from? It just happens.
right?
You're
I
just
know.
like an idea pops into your head. Like you're watching something on TV, like, what if and then, you listen to a music
Listen,
and you're like
yeah.
a song lyric suddenly sparks an idea in your head, and then you're just like, there's a new story. I don't know. I don't
Wow,
understand how it works.
it does work.
It does, but I couldn't possibly tell you why it works or how it works or
Is there times though where you just don't? It's not flowing as well as you wish it would.
sometimes you just kind of have to just force yourself to write.
Yeah. Just put yourself in that space
Mhm.
where you're creative and
No, you just have
creativity
to
finds you.
No, you just have to go like I'm here to type for the next hour and I just need to
Yeah.
type. I have an
Just
outline, I just got to do it.
yeah.
And sometimes it just feels like a chore, but oh well. Like, it's still at the end of the day it's a job. And sometimes your job
Yeah.
just sucks and you don't want to do it, but you do it. But I don't know, I've had days like that. Like I was writing with when I was co-authoring with Michael, and I'd send him what I wrote for the day, and man, he'd be like, man, this is great. I loved it. I was like, well, I'm glad you did, 'cause it felt like pulling teeth to write today.
Hmm.
And he's like, no, it's great. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're happy with it, because it felt like, you know,
What other authors inspire you as a writer? Maybe even some of your formative years when you first started. Any other authors stand out that you're like, oh, I really like how they approach writing?
Well, I like J.R.R. Tolkien for his world building and his ideas.
Yeah.
I like Robert Jordan for his character POVs. He does a very limited third person omniscient character. So it's like the character is telling the story. Sort of like the
Mm.
character is almost the narrator. And that's fun because you can hide stuff in a character's misunderstanding of things. Uh,
Hmm.
so I like that tactic. I like R. Scott Bakker for his philosophy and his sort of complicated characters. He makes some characters that kind of I don't know, like he twists like kind of standard character archetypes into something very different but unique to him that I don't know if I can ever emulate, but just like I don't know his level of characters. I like Brandon Sanderson for how he just makes all his plots come together at the end of a book into this craziness. That's fun to read and like to try that. Like I said, when I wrote Shadow of the Dragon, I kind of want to do this quest series, sort of based off like David Eddings, like Belgariad and Mallory his the Elunium and Tamala series, where they're always going on quests and venturing around the world and meeting new peoples and new local dangers and stuff. So I wanted to do that for a series. Um, um, and like Mal's on Book the Fallen, so I've tried to do some like war, like military stuff with fantasy military stuff, like he does with Stephen Erickson does with his Mal's on Book the Fallen series.
Mm.
Yeah,
Interesting. So, what are you working on today, this week? Like, what's your project right now currently?
I'm still editing and getting ready for publishing the Rise of the Dragon Knight books,
Okay.
which just feels like it's never ending. But yeah, so I'm almost got the sixth book ready for my editor, and I need to get the third book ready and get it uploaded on the Amazon, and I need to promote the second book coming out in a couple weeks, and I need to get the fourth book then ready for publication, get the seventh book ready for my editor, and then when she's going to give me the stuff back for the sixth book, I have to go through all that stuff, and so once I another month, I think of not this sort of editing, I'll be finally free to write again.
What's a story or a book or a genre or something that you haven't tried, but you're curious that maybe one day you might go and step outside of your normal thing that you do and you try something different? Is there anything that's like piques your interest? You're like, I'm really curious about this, and you might write this.
I don't know. I mean, I've written an urban fantasy novel, and I wouldn't mind finishing that series. Uh,
Okay.
but I have like zero interest in writing non-fantasy. I just
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like if I want to I like writing, yeah, I like fantasy. I like reading other stuff, but I mean, I don't want to have to do all the research it takes to write science fiction. I don't want to do
Hmm.
like all the research it takes to write historical fiction.
Right.
I don't want to like when I'm writing in fantasy, I do some research, but I have magic and as long as my magic system I feel is coherent, then I could just do fun imaginative stuff that you can't do in the real world and I don't know. And like the idea of just writing about the real world as something I do for myself, that's something like as my what I do, that's just I don't know. It seems so boring to me. Like what's like I live in the real world. I don't need to
I just go outside if I want to experience
right,
that. I don't have
yeah,
to write about
yeah.
it.
So I don't read a lot of biographies or watch biographies. I'm like, oh, okay.
There you go. What do you think your legacy is as a writer? What are you hoping for?
I just want to entertain people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Legacy, I don't know. That's, I don't know. That smacks of like pride or something. I don't want to be prideful
Yeah.
and stay grounded.
You're leaving your mark on this world though with this amount of books and writings and people following your journey. There's a part of that we kind of owe our audience a piece of ourselves, right? But
I don't know. I think if I wanted to leave my mark on the world. There's, I don't know, better ways to do it than writing a book or whatever.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. I love creative people, and I love seeing their process and understanding what motivates them to write and create. It's not the
What
typical thing that everybody does,
what
right? So
motivates
that's what
me
I
to
like.
write is there's all these stories in my head that I want to get out,
Yeah,
and I need
yeah,
to release them.
yeah,
That's what motivates me to write. And ultimately, I just hope people will like them.
yeah,
But I mean, I still do it even if no one liked them, just because I got to get out of my head.
yeah.
Hmm.
Let's talk about where people can connect with you, James, to know more about you and what's coming next for you. I'm sure that there's readers that would love to have to be able to send you messages and just encourage you from
Yeah,
a reader's perspective.
yeah.
Where do you want to send them?
Facebook, Facebook's where I'm most active.
Okay.
Um, there's like my own reader group, which is called Dreaming Between Worlds. There's my author page, JMD Reid. I'm also active in the fantasy/sci-fi focus group, run by my co-author Michael Evan. And yeah, technically I'm Instagram and I'm on X, and I have a newsletter. I need to send out more because I forget about it sometimes. And yeah, so yeah, basically though Facebook.
Okay. That's good. Where's your newsletter housed? Where do you do that?
Well, I do it through Mailchimp. There's like
Okay.
there'll be
Yeah.
like if you go like on my profile, there should be like a sign up link for
Okay.
it, like with my bio. I believe I was smart enough to do that. Now I'm curious.
Okay. There you go.
I
I love
actually
it.
did that, but I think so. It should be there on the Facebook group. Yeah.
Good.
I used to put on my Amazon books, but then Amazon changed their terms of service and they don't like you using your books to collect newsletters. At least that's what I was told. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
I want to
interesting.
make Amazon mad at me.
No, don't do that. They have people who's new know people. Yeah, yeah, I like that.
You always hear stories
Good.
about authors that get banned off Amazon for the dumbest reasons.
Yeah,
You're just like, ah, yeah.
I love it. Well, James, it's so great to have you on the show and to hear your journey. Again, like so prolific as an author to keep writing. And I just love that the stories find you. I think that your stories come to you because you're a good servant to the story and you want to get these stories out there. So as long as you stay open to these, I think there's not going to be an end in sight
No,
for the
that's
next
true.
story.
I always
Right?
think of like a new story idea. Most of them I forget about, but some stuck around the back of my head for years.
Yeah.
Years. I think one's been back there for like 15 years now.
Just percolating in the background.
Yeah, it's it's the story that I'm like, I just need to write something else before I felt like I was ready to write this one. And now I've written like 37 books since then. It's so now I'm just like, why? I don't know. It's just like it's because it's always like a new shiny thing. It's like, ooh, new shiny, and then I write the like I like get to the end of a book series, and suddenly it's like, all right, I need to come up. What book series you got? Like all these ideas in my head, then like new shiny idea pops up, and I'm like, oh, new shiny, and I'll just go do that one. And then the older stories are like, well, we're still here waiting. When are you going to get
Yeah.
to us?
I'm envisioning a bus stop when all your stories are waiting for the next bus, and it's like,
Yeah,
we'll wait for the next one. Well, there he goes again. A new idea. We'll see you later. Yeah, I
yeah.
like it.
Well, I don't know. But part of me sometimes just wonders like if I just like stopped ghostwriting and then jumped all in on writing fantasy, because then I could really release books. Um, but ghostwriting's like a guaranteed payment.
Yeah, that's kind of a good thing to have.
Yeah.
That's good. Excellent. Jason, well, thank you so much for being on the show. Really great to have you on.
Yep.
Keep writing, keep sharing your stories. Really, really inspiring to talk to you and hear how you do what you do. It's outstanding. It's incredible.
Thanks.
Excellent. Everyone, all the information, as always, in the show notes. I know James would love to hear your thoughts about the books, the writings. Our authors love hearing from them, from you as a reader. It's
Yeah.
just, it's
Yeah. You just
encouraging, right?
drop me a message. Yeah. It's It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and let them know what book and what character, what part of the story stuck out to you. All those things are really interesting from an author's perspective to hear your thoughts on where the story took you. And I think that's really interesting for our guests as well. So excellent.
Yeah.
James, thank you again so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Excellent. Everyone, all the information is always in the show notes. Make sure you go check out James. And again, like I said, leave him some feedback. Leave a review when you buy his books. There's a lot of books to buy. When you buy his books, please leave that great review. I think people will like to know. James, again, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much again for pressing play. As you've heard, great guests on the show. And one thing you didn't hear in this conversation is what? What did you not hear? Think about it for a second. That's right. Not a single solitary commercial for a mattress or a supplement or a whatever you call it. No. Why? Because we don't want to break up the conversation with commercials. So the fact that you're still here means that you are a fan of the show, I'm assuming. So if you want to help to keep the podcast going and to make me feel really happy, all I really care about is coffee, okay? I just got to be honest. I love coffee. I'm drinking one right now. It's starting to get cold. I need to warm it up. Helping us with our Buy Me a Coffee link over at livingthenextchapter.com and also in the show notes helps kind of keep the lights on around here. Remember, I'm doing this for free. I'm paying for everything. So I would love to have a little coffee donation, even $5 kind of fills up my cup. And I would love to enjoy a coffee from you. So if you're interested, again, thank you for listening. But you can use our Buy Me a Coffee link and fill up the cup. Thanks for being here.